So welcome to our baby and toddler food little movie video. So my name is Mandy. I'm a Thermomix team leader, and my lovely team member Keisha is joining me today, and we're going to make 4 dishes for you. 2 are for babies, so they're very much pureed food, and the other 2 are for, they could be babies and toddlers. So the whole aim when you're feeding a baby is obviously to give them the correct nutrition, but also to make it easy for you so that when you're cooking, you don't have to make something separate for them all the time. I will show you as we're going along. I'll show you a couple of books that we're having a look at. A thing called Cookie Do, which is the platform that we use when cooking from the screen of our Thermomixes. And yeah, and we'll go from there. So I'm going to spotlight myself first because I'm cooking first. And yeah, so we are going to show you how easy it is to make baby food at home. All right. So the first recipe that I'm going to make, hold on, is cauliflower cheese. It's actually a macaroni and cauliflower cheese. So I'm going to, this is on my TM6, my beautiful Thermomix. I'll just very quickly give you a quick rundown, but basically we've got time, temperature and speed. This is if you're doing things manually. Whichever one of these dials is large, you turn up with this silver knob here. We've also, it is a smart connected kitchen, so it is connected to the Wi-Fi. If I swipe this way, exactly as you do on a smartphone, I've got a whole lot of different functions here. I've got scales, I've got kneading for dough, turbo mode, which is just super quick, pre-clean, which is a lifesaver. Pop some water in there and it will honestly do most of the cleaning for you. You just have to rinse it out. A blend, a rice cooker, a thickening mode for custards, also really great for babies. Warm up, again, great for warming up baby food. Kettle mode, egg boiler, and then we go again. We've got fermentation mode for yogurt when they're up to that stage. Slow cooking and sous vide, which may not specifically be for a baby, but fantastic for you as well. So we'll come back to here, and what we can do is, well, I'll show you Cookie Do a little bit later. So just in the interest of time, we'll get going. And I have put the couple of recipes I'm cooking into my week. And the first one I'm going to cook is, I've got a few things I'm cooking today, cauliflower macaroni cheese. It says for toddlers and beyond. So it is about, you know, cooking for the slightly older child. Start cooking. All right. You can see my scales have automatically come up here. So I'm going to tear them and I'm going to put in 60 grams of Parmesan cheese. And then I'm going to put in 60 grams of vintage cheddar. So that's all going in there. So I've got 120 grams of cheese. And then it says next, insert the measuring cup into the mixing bowl lid. So this is my mixing bowl lid. This is my measuring cup that goes in, sits on the top. And I really want you to notice, sorry, I have got a kettle boiling in the background. But when we actually start this is a really important thing when you've got little ones around, that the lid will lock in place with these little arms here. So it's set the time for me. It's going to chop the cheese for 10 seconds on speed 5. I just have to turn it up to speed 5. And it's asking me to transfer it into a bowl and set aside. Actually need to chop a little bit more than that. So this is the great thing. So I want my cheese a little bit finer than that. It is going to go into the sauce, but what I can do is just come back here and chop again. The wonderful thing about being able to chop and grate your own cheese is that there are no additives and preservatives in it. So here we go. If you were serving that for yourself on a pasta, you would have done it on a higher speed and it would have made it finer. But when you buy ready grated cheese in the supermarket, it actually has anti-caking agent in it, which is something that you don't really want to eat. All right, so it's asking me to put in a litre of water. Now, I'm just going to tear that here. And the reason I'm boiling a kettle is because by using boiling water, I can save time. Not sure if I put enough in the kettle, but we'll soon see. All right. That's pretty good. I'm happy with that. So I've got my almost a litre of water in. And what it's asking me to do is put the lid on here and it's going to heat the water. So you can see it wants to go to 100 degrees and it is on 70 degrees because I've put the boiling water in. So this 8 minutes isn't going to take as long. But what I'm going to just do after this, so we don't have to swap and change all the time, is the next step after it is it's going to ask me to weigh some cauliflower into this, which is called the simmering basket, which will sit inside the bowl. So I will have my cauliflower in there. And it's also going to ask me to put some pasta in the water. So it's going to cook the pasta in the bowl and it's going to steam the cauliflower above the pasta. So that's going to be going on in the background as we move forwards, and Keisha and I do a couple of other dishes. So just letting you know that I'm going to start this and I'm going to keep an eye on it because it's not going to take the 8 minutes. All right. We are now going to go to Keisha and she is going to show you a fruit puree. Oh.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. I'm going to do fruit puree with the apples. And if you have a look, I've chosen the baby food from the collection, which is on a cookie dough. And one of the tips on it says you may wish to add up to 50 grams of water or breast milk to cook the puree. And also you can try this recipe with the different fruits of choice. So every time you look at the cookie dough recipe, you can go to hints and tricks and you can get ideas what you can do with the recipe. So I'll start cooking. So they're asking me to place 500 grams of water. So I can tear it the scale. It's a little bit less, I'm adding some water. Okay, and you press next, and it asking me to put the simmering basket into the bowl and put the apples. And I had 4 apples, which is asking for 4 apples. Next, asking me to place the measuring cup on top. Next, and it's gonna go for 10 minutes on Varoma and speed 1. So it's gonna cook the, steam the apples, and we then puree the apples later. Thank you. And I was gonna say as well that you can decide of the ingredients that you're choosing for your baby on the season of the year. So like for the autumn, you can have fresh apples, for summer peaches, and you can choose whichever fruits you want to use for your baby to eat during the seasons.
Fantastic, thanks, Keisha. And that's also a great money savings tip, because obviously you know the cheaper it is when things are in season, then it's cheaper. So that's great advice. Thank you very much. Now my parser here, my water is nearly on 100 degrees here, and I've actually got a bit of steam coming out the top. So I'm just going to actually stop that, and I'm going to go to the next step and pop this in. So it is boiling in there. So I've got my pasta now. I'm using the gluten-free pasta because I choose to eat gluten-free. So this is made out of various pulses and things. So I'm popping that in. And then exactly as I said, we're inserting the simmering basket. I've got my cauliflower already in there. That's all done. Putting the lid back on again. And then it says cook for 10 minutes. Now the difference on here, I don't know if you can see this dial here, we've got reverse. So reverse just means it's going to stir instead of chop. We don't want that pasta chopped up. So I'm going to get that going and just keep an eye on that and move on to my other recipe on this Thermomix here. So this recipe is again in my week, and it's called Baby's First Meal. And here we are, Baby's First Meal, chicken puree in brackets. So all right, so we'll get started on this one. 250 grams of boneless, skinless chicken thighs. So I've got a few things in here. I'll just pull my chicken out. So I've just literally chopped it up into pieces. Thighs, they often use, a lot of the Thermomix recipes do use thighs because they actually have more flavour than the breast. Though I know some people prefer breast. You could absolutely use breast if you prefer it. So 150 grams of potato, I've just chopped that up, chuck that in there as well. 80 grams of carrots, 100 grams of water. Put that in. There we go. 1 teaspoon of butter. Pop a little bit of butter in here. And pop my lid on. And it's going to now cook that for 8 minutes. So I'm 8 minutes on both Thermomixes, which is interesting. All right, so I'm going to turn that up to speed 8. And what I'm going to do now is just mention that with that recipe, we obviously had chicken and those vegetables, but exactly as Keisha said before, you can use whatever vegetables are in season. And you can use meat, so you can use fish. So you decide what you're going to do. A little bit later, we are going to add a little bit of fruit, a little bit of banana, just to sweeten it a little bit, but all natural sugars. If you decide to use a different fruit, you might need to cook it. So banana doesn't need to be cooked. If you're using a bit of apple to sweeten, or a bit of, as Keisha said, a little bit of peach or something like that, you'd pop it in at the beginning where you put, we just put everything in now, and you let it cook. All right. Whilst that's, because we've all got busy Thermomixes, just going to share my screen. I'm just going to show you some of the products that are available on our Mix Shop for babies. So you can see here, there are a few things on the Mix Shop. We've got the silicone baby bowls, and you can see that they've got this great little lip here, so it makes it easier for them when they can start to do things themselves, to push up against a big side. And these are fabulous when you've got babies, for freezing your small amounts. They've got the silicone freezer pods. And these are a couple of books. They are fabulous books. So they're both by Louise Keats. She was Margaret Fulton's, well, she is Margaret Fulton's granddaughter. And she is very much into healthy eating. She's also made another book, another Thermomix book, which is called Sweet Nourish. And that is all about healthy, treats, I guess. So it's cakes and slices and things, but she tries to use very much natural sugars. All right, I'm going to stop sharing. I'm just going to show you books. So this is the Whole Food Child book. Now, what I love about this is all available on Cookie Do, which I'm going to show you a bit later on. But what happens when you actually have the physical book, you get a bit more information in it. And if you're also someone that likes browsing a book, always a great thing to have. But she's got in here, optimal nutrition for your child. She's also got some beautiful photographs, but things like food groups in children. So what should you be feeding them? Meat and eggs, protein foods, vegetables and legumes. So it's all about them. It's not saying that's what you should be giving them straight away. In fact, she's saying a lot more vegetables and fruit than meat. They don't need a lot of meat to begin with because they're getting, particularly if you're breastfeeding, they get a lot of that from there. So, but she's got some tables in here. She's got a lot of information. Other thing, so that is a fabulous book. And the other one that she has published, this one came out before our amazing Cookie Do. So these recipes are not available on Cookie Do, but it's another, it's an older book, but she's got heaps of beautiful recipes in there as well. And again, some information at the front, but you might find that this one has more up-to-date information because it's more recent. All right, goes out the way. So why make your own baby food? There's plenty of stuff out there made by manufacturers. However, in her book, Louise talks about the various reasons. So I've actually just made a note of them so I can pass them on to you. So why is homemade better? One, it is more nutritious. Shop-bought foods tend to be heated to high temperatures, and the higher you heat something, the less nutrition remains in that. But they heat it to a high temperature to avoid using additives and preservatives. But the high heat can actually destroy vitamins like vitamin B1, folate, and vitamin C. So basically, you're ending up with a bit less goodness in your food than if you make it yourself. By the way, a little aside, the Thermomix was actually created because the Italian government wanted good, healthy baby food for their population, I suppose, for the population of babies, so that they grew up on good food. And in Italy, the Thermomix is called the Bimbi, and that is what the original name was when it was created back in the 1970s. All right, another reason, home cooking always tastes better. And it's really, when you start off with a baby, you want to introduce them to the sort of food that you want to eat as well. So you're basically, when you cook from scratch and you're cooking at home, they are learning to like that sort of food, and it helps establish their taste preferences. And so you're better off giving them family food than what you guys want to eat as a family. Commercial foods generally have a consistent taste, which doesn't reflect the seasonal veggies and fruit, exactly as Keisha brought up to begin with. So every time you make a homemade meal, the child gets a slightly different taste. Instead of being used to the one flavour, very similar, it might change slightly, but it is a very consistent flavour. So variety is important, otherwise your child will just want to eat the same thing all the time and become fussy. So by making your own food, as we've already talked about, using seasonal veggies and fruits, they're going to get a variety of different flavours as well. Packet foods are smoother. Even though our amazing Thermomix goes to 10,700 RPMs and can really do an amazing puree, they are smoother. However, your baby actually needs a bit of lumpy texture to get used to for their jaw to develop and for chewing. So it's good to have a little bit to deal with. By making a child's food, you're instilling in them a preference for homemade food rather than packet foods and processed foods, which we all know have far more additives and preservatives and things in them. And also, they see you cooking, and I know they're only little, and as a baby, they're not going to recognize this, but as a toddler, they will. Oh, mum's cooking. That's how we eat. We eat by cooking for ourselves rather than getting used to all the processed thing. You know, you'll find people who really don't know how to cook, and it's usually because their parents haven't cooked.
I'm ready to go.
You're ready to go. Okay, 2 more things and then we'll come back to you, all right? So homemade is generally cheaper as well, and it's more environmentally friendly, which is one of my big beefs in this world, because, you know, you're not having all the packaging that's got to be disposed of, and a lot of your family meals can be pureed or mashed so a child gets the same meal and it's less prep for you. So I hope that, you know, gives you a few reasons to think about why you would make your own food. And we're coming back to Keisha now. Over to you, Keisha.
Okay, so the steaming of the apples finished. So I press next, and he asking me to remove the simmering basket with the aid of spatula. I'll show you how to do it. And when you open it, because it was cooking the aroma, make sure it's put away, away from you. So this is a little hook, here. You can see a little hook. So when you put it inside and grab it in place, you can take it out, not touching the basket. So I press next. Empty the mixing bowl of water. Next, place steam apples in a bowl. So here I'm placing the apples. Next, insert measuring cup into the lid. And what it says here, turn speed selection to speed 4, then increase speed gradually to speed 8, and it will make sure, and you will have your desired consistency. So I'm pressing to number 4. Next, scrape the sides of the bowl with the spatula. So we take all the apples back to the bowl and make sure the sides are scraped. Next, repeat blending until desired consistency is achieved. I'm going to leave it like this. I'll show you how it looks like. This is how it, it's a bit tricky to show. Here we go. This is how it looks like. And you can have more puree or a little bit more lumpy. And you can use for, if your child doesn't want to eat the apple this day, you can use it for applesauce or in a pie filling or in a cake where you can put apples. And so you don't have to throw it out, the apples. So this is the baby puree.
Thanks, Keisha. That's fantastic. And of course, if you want it a little bit runnier than that, just add a bit more water and then puree it up a bit more. So, so that's good. All good. Well, both of my Thermomixes have stopped. So we're going to actually come back to the cauliflower cheese one. So I'm going to carefully remove, exactly as Keisha said, using this, I'm going to remove my simmering basket and set it aside. Rub it everywhere. Okay, and then I'm going to drain the pasta and transfer it into a large bowl, which I've got ready. Just got to find something to do. All right, so just drain my pasta. Okay. So there's my pasta. I'm going to put it into a thermoserver. Thermoservers are really fabulous to have because particularly when you have a baby, it means that you can cook your meal in advance and then you can keep it warm. I've got a few little bits that have just stayed in the bottom here, so I'm just going to grab them out. Go. And it's asking me to stir a little bit of olive oil in there, just so the pasta doesn't stick together. So I'm just going to put that in, a little bit of olive oil in there. Quick little stir. And I'm going to pop the lid on. So if I did nothing else, that would stay warm for 2 hours. Right. Dry the mixing bowl. I'm just going to give it a little rinse. Okay. Only because it was a little bit gluggy after the pasta. You know, you get all that starch coming out in the water. Okay. Preheat the oven to 220. That is on. 30 grams of butter. So now we're going to make the sauce for, this is probably a little bit under, but it's around about 30 grams of butter going in. Oh, 30, 31. Go. 40 grams of plain flour. Now I've used a gluten-free plain flour, but that's just the flour going in. And I'm going to pop the lid on. And that is going to cook for 5 minutes like that. And whilst that's doing it, I'm just going to flip back here and then we'll come back to Keisha again. All right. So remember, I've got my meat and my veggies and stuff in here. So they've all just all cooked up in there. That'd be beautiful. And what it's asking me to do is add 70 grams of banana. So I've just got a banana here. I'm sure it's way bigger than it needs to be. But we'll just break off some of this. So just breaking off some bits like this. Weigh it in there. Bit left for me to eat later. There we are. All right. Then I'm going to pop the lid on as requested. And going to blend. Again, as Keisha said, it's really important to start slow and then build up. Now, also, it probably, because it's still on 85 degrees, it may not want to blend too high. So we'll just go to there to start with. This is only when you're blending something hot. So there it is, and I'll put some of that into a bowl so you can have a bit of a look a little bit later on. But yeah, there's your baby's first meal. All right, we will come back. Keisha, are you ready for your Bliss?
Yes, I am. I've got clean bowl.
Okay, perfect.
So this recipe is apricot and carrot Bliss bowls, and they are great for baby toddlers and you can break into the small pieces the little balls so the baby doesn't choke, and you can omit the salt, so the baby doesn't have to have a salt at the first years. And you can use pure peanut butter and make your own nut butter with whichever nuts you prefer. Okay, and it also it won't have the free coconut and apricots. Won't have a like if you choose your apricots, some of the apricots don't have a sulfur. So this is great because you don't have additives added into your food. So I'm start cooking and asking me for 100 grams of hazelnuts. Next, and asking me to insert measuring cup. Next, oops, I skipped this. You can always come back if you skip the, so insert measuring cup, and it's gonna blend for 6 seconds, and it's gonna be a little bit noisy on the speed. So you're asking me to scrape the bowl. You can see it here. It got a little bit of nuts on the side, so I'm scraping down. So everything goes, we use everything. And next, 100 grams of carrots. I chop them into small pieces, so it helps the process of shredding. Next, 50 grams of peanut butter. And we're gonna use scale that is inbuilt in the machine, so we don't have to measure anything. A little bit more. And like I say, you can use your own peanut butter that you can make it in a Thermomix. So that's enough. Coconut, I can't say it. I'm nervous, so I'm twisting my words. These desiccated. And 60 gram coconut that we put in, and dry apricots. And you can put ground cinnamon, half a teaspoon. And if you like it, you can put ground cardamom. It gives nice flavor. But if the kids don't like the flavors, they prefer plain, that's fine too. And pinch of salt. And we put the measuring cup again, asking me, it tells me every step of the process, so it's easy to follow. And for 12 seconds, I'm gonna on speed 7 shred everything. Next, ask him to scrape again the sides of the bowl. That's how it shreds. So everything that you've put in, it shreds beautifully for you. You don't have to grate anything. And we're gonna for 25 seconds again on speed 6. It's beautifully shredded. And I'm gonna put in the bowl. I'll prepare one before I show, and then you create little balls and you put through this through the coconut, and you make a little balls. And you can freeze them for later. And yeah, thank you.
Great job, Keisha. Thank you. They look delicious.
Yeah, they are. They're very tasty.
Yeah, good. Well, that put them in your freezer, and it's great for adults as well. You know, these little snacks, they're little treats. You can have them in your freezer, pull them out when you feel like something without being too naughty, because they're not too big. Or make them smaller and have two. And yeah, great for your kids. So what Louise says in her book is, you know, if you're using for a baby, just break them up a bit so that they're not, because obviously it could be a choking hazard if you fed a baby something that big. All right, come back to my my cauliflower cheese. So I've got my some of my flour landed on the blades, but can you see it's like a roux, like you make when you have to stand there and stir over the kitchen stove. You don't have to do it with this. It's done it all for me without me having to do it. So it's just asking me to add 250 grams of milk. I'm just using milk, but you know, you can use whatever type of milk your baby's not, or your toddler's not tolerant to dairy. You can use a different type of milk. A little bit over. All right, add my grated cheese. So all that beautiful cheese, that's just going straight in there as well. So make sure that is off the blades. And put my lid back on. And that's now going to cook for 7 minutes. Okay, so we're going to have a look at our recipe platform. Before we do that, this is just to show you, that's that baby puree. And I'm just going to try it a little bit and let me show you. It's actually delicious because I tried it before. It's really good. That banana gives it a bit of sweetness. You can actually taste the banana. But I've either got to find a baby to give that to, or we could use it as a basis, you know, put it in a soup and just add a few more bits and pieces. So, all right, let's share my screen again and I'll show you Cookie Dough. Okay, so Cookie Dough is our recipe platform that we use, that we have access to through the screen of our amazing connected kitchen, the TM6. Better log in. So it's logged me in. And here, this is the front screen of our and it just shows us what the latest recipes are. We've just had a low carb collection been released a couple of weeks ago, a book. And these are some of the recipes from there. Spotlighting a recipe, Mexican dip. And the most cooked things. It's just changed. In Melbourne, we were all cocktails for a while with lockdown, but now that's opening up. So low carb book, vegan Christmas. So if you know anybody who's vegan, you can come here and find some vegan recipes as well. But we can just go in here, we can just go actually baby food. And it's 142 results. This is just in Australia. So we've got the fruit puree that Keisha showed you and the baby's first meal, which I've shown you. But there are all sorts of different combinations. Any of these ones that have got the brackets, they are from that book, The Whole Food Child. And what I love about that is Louise is suggesting that, you know, you do introduce them to all sorts of different flavors. So the banana coconut custard, avocado and egg yolk puree. So there's obviously a lot of protein in there as well. And all sorts of different things. Look, coriander in here. So, you know, I probably didn't have coriander until I was in my 20s. Well, no, you can start with all these things and different combinations, beetroot and blood orange, all sorts of amazing combinations and ideas that she's got here. Look, fish and broccoli puree. Get those greens into them early. And this one, you know, she's using the fruit just as a little bit of sweetness as well. So there's a whole heap of things. And then she's got, you know, as the child gets a bit older, some of these things, finger food. So 6 to 9 months, you can start introducing this. But obviously, you've got to be careful of sizes and just break it up for them. And baby's first Christmas. Here we are. There's the apricot and carrot Bliss balls that Kate has just made. So all sorts of amazing things in here. Yeah, this is another one I love. So I haven't actually made this recipe, but a banana ice cream, you can make banana ice cream, no additives and preservatives or any fruit ice cream, just with, you know, frozen fruit. Don't have to add any sugar. And so it's really healthy. It's so easy to make, quick and easy to make. All you need is a bag of fruit in your freezer. So there's plenty just in Australia. But if I actually get rid of this, so we've got 142 results. Now I'm going to add filters and I'm going to scroll down and I'm actually just going to add in the US and the UK. And then I'm going to put baby food back in there. We've got 262 results. So you can see there's some different things in here to what we had before. As an egg custard, buckwheat. Actually, that looks really delicious. I wouldn't mind having that for breakfast. That looks yummy. So there's all sorts of, you know, there's a massive variety of things. And what you can do if you go, okay, where was that nice one I like the look of? That one. You might go, all right, well, I want to remember that. I'm going to put it into a collection. I'm going to add it to a collection. And just for the ease of things, I'm going to call it A1 because it's going to be easy to find, all right? So that could be my baby's, you know, fruit things or breakfasty things. So I'm going to add this one to that as well, to my A1. I'm going to go, well, the baby rice, that's also a good one. I'm going to add that to collection, A1, and I'm going to add this fruit and yogurt puree as well. So if I then want to find those recipes, I come into my recipes, created collections, and here we are. So I'm thinking, you know, what do I want to make for my baby? Here I've got options. So what I love about that too then is I can go, all right, well, I want to make that. I'm going to add it to my week. So I'm going to add it to my week and I'm going to put it in for Wednesday. I mean, remembering a lot of these things will actually, the recipes will last, because if it's for a baby, you know, you're going to make a whole heap. So, but if I then go to my week, got a whole lot of stuff happening the next couple of days. Here it is, fruit and yogurt puree. Now, I'm going to need to shop for that. So I'm going to click on here. I'm going to add it to my shopping list. Come up here. Oh, hang on. I'll get rid of these things that I don't need anymore because I've actually done all those. Should have cleared my, I want to leave that one in. We're actually, yeah, so. Okay, so now look at the ingredients in here. What do I need to get for this recipe? A baby biscuit, some plain yogurt, apples and oranges. So if I've got any of those things in my fridge, I just click and get rid of it. You know, I might have a baby biscuit. So all I need to do is get those. Obviously, you know, you can add in the recipes that you want to cook. So if I go back to my week, we can add in, say, let's just add in this just for the sake of the exercise. I'm going to add it to my shopping list. And I'm actually making this tonight for dinner. So show ingredients. So I've got my shopping list and the baby's shopping list all together. I've got the rice, I've got the chorizo. You know, I made my own beautiful ghee in the Thermomix. I've got the olive oil, I've got an egg. So I've got my own chicken stock paste and so on. So you click off what you don't need. Anything that you do need, you add in here. Now that might look like a big collection. Obviously I haven't gone through. I don't need to buy the pepper. I don't need the fennel. I don't need the nutmeg. When you cook from scratch, you have a lot of these things in your cupboard anyway. But remembering, because you are cooking from scratch, yes, there may be some more ingredients, but they are all ingredients that you know about. And the amazing thing is now I can now order these. So I can go online and I can go to, come up, thinking. I can go to Woolies, populates my shopping list, and I can go add to Woolworths cart. If I don't want that sort of bread, I can swap it. So, you know, as a new mum, this is an amazing resource because it's like a system for you. You can meal plan, you can get your shopping list, and you can order the ingredients. The other way you can do it is that we do have an app on our phone, and so you can just use the app on your phone and take that shopping with you. All right, we have just finished over here. That next stage, I'm going to add the reserved cauliflower. So I've got beautiful looking sauce in here. How's that? And I haven't had to do any stirring at all. Oh, see the texture of it? It's just beautiful. All right, I'm going to add my cauliflower. That's the one that we steamed before. I'm going to pop the lid on. Now, 40 seconds, speed 7. So we're just going to blend the cauliflower into the sauce. On the side of the spatula, so you'll notice that there's a little delay in the unlocking of the lid, and that is just to allow any contents to settle. So I'll show you what it's looking like now. It's beautiful. Yum, this is lunch. So it's quite interesting. So even though this recipe is listed under a baby and toddler recipe, I was talking to another consultant a couple of weeks ago, and she said she serves this up at dinner parties, you know, as a side. So it's pretty good. My pasta that's been kept warm, that's going in. There. Put my lid on again. Now, again, it's got the reverse in there because we don't want to chop up the pasta, and it's just going to mix all that, speed 3 for 8 seconds. One of the other things with having a Thermomix when you have a young baby is that you can actually cook with the baby on your front. I've had a couple of people who've actually purchased for that very reason, because they can keep cooking. It's safe. You're not over an open pot on the stove. So for older children, adults, add a pinch of sea salt and ground black pepper. So I'm going to add some salt because I like a bit of salt in my food. And it's very good for us, and it actually helps bring out the flavour. So a bit of salt in there and some black pepper. Black pepper too. All right, now it's asking me to divide it between some ramekins. So I have actually tested. These are 1 cup in volume. These ones, and I'm just going to get the spatula, a little stir because I've got, otherwise the top one's going to get all the salt and pepper. And I'm just going to put some into each of these. Yum.
Looks so yummy.
Does, doesn't it?
I think the kids' favorite food.
Yeah. And you know, kids like pasta, so I think this is a really good option because you've got hidden veggies, and that's another thing that Thermomix is really good at doing is helping with hiding veggies, because you can puree them so small and get away with a whole lot of stuff that you can't when it's just sitting on the plate. Bit more sauce on here. All right, we're not going to wait to see the end of this. So basically I'm going to pop these in the oven. Just finished the instructions on here. Place onto a baking tray and bake for 10 minutes until golden on top. And then it says set aside to cool. And you can garnish with shaved Parmesan, which is optional. So
I might show everyone how the dough looks like for the balls.
The balls, yeah, okay. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, okay. So that's all scraped out from your bowl and that's ready to just roll into little balls.
Yeah, and you can put it in the fridge to firm it up, so if it's warm day. Yeah,
perfect. All right, wonderful. So I would like to thank Keisha very much for joining me today and showing you guys some stuff with baby food. Remember, you can contact us to have your own cooking experience, and we're happy to do baby food with you, or as you've seen baby food, you might want to have adult food. But I hope you can see the benefits of actually cooking baby food from scratch, and the fact that the planning, the meal planning is just an amazing system to help get yourself organized when you are very busy with a baby. And the great thing about that too, I forgot to mention this, is you can send the shopping list to someone else. So if you're stuck at home, you know, with a baby with colic or something terrible like that, which I wouldn't wish on any of you, then you can send the shopping list to your other half and say, can you please pick up the shopping on your way home? It's all ready to go. So yeah, and the fact that you can, it's a safe way to cook when you have a baby on your front. So thanks for joining us. Thanks, Keisha. And yes, feel free to get in touch. Thanks.